everyone, today I'm going to be doing a makeup tutorial on this look that I'm wearing right here. It's a really fun, glamorous look. Please subscribe if you haven't already and let me know what you would like to see next. First, I'm going to be going in with a Josie Maran Aragan Daily Moisturizer. And this moisturizer has an SPF in it, and it's very thick. It is definitely on the thicker side, but it gives a very radiant, luminous glow through your foundation. So if you are normal to, I would say, dry in skin, I would definitely recommend trying this. It's very, very good. Now I'm going to be going in with a little sample of the Smashbox Photo Finish Oil-Free Pore Minimizing Primer. It's a really long name. And for me, I just like to prime in my T-zone area because that is definitely my problem area. So I always go on the sides of my nose, in between my eyebrows, and my upper lip. Then I'm going to be going in with foundation, and I am using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation. And this is brand new by L'Oreal, and I'm in the shade N35. And normally I'm in like the warm category for when I use the regular L'Oreal True Match Lumi, but in this case I was in the N35, so the colors are a little bit different than normal. And the brush that I am using here is the Morphe M439, and this is the buffer brush. And I love this brush because it doesn't soak up any product, it doesn't leave lines when you apply your foundation, and it just blends everything out very, very beautifully. But I do take my time and I do slowly build up my foundation. So I go on with a little amount, and then I slowly build it up to my liking, and that's really nice about a foundation that is buildable. Next, I'm going to be going in with the Urban Decay Naked Skin Weightless Concealer, and I'm in the shade Fair Neutral, which is the lightest shade, but they have a really great range of shades. They have more neutral, warm, cool. So if you have issues with finding a a concealer, then I would definitely recommend trying the Urban Decay one, and it's very, very beautiful. It doesn't settle into any dry patches, and it definitely is full coverage for those of you who have some dark circles that you like to cover up. And I'm just blending that out with my beauty blender, and I'm going in with an e.l.f. blush brush. I really love the e.l.f. blush brushes. They are really great quality, and they're like $3. And I'm using the Mercier translucent powder to just set my under eye concealer, and I'm also setting my eyelid. So now I'm going in, excuse me, with the Smashbox On the Rock palette, and it is such a great palette. The first shade I'm going in with is Totally Nude, and I'm taking Totally Nude on a Morphe M433 blending brush, and this is a goat hair brush, so it is going to soak up a little bit of my product so it doesn't put too much down, which we definitely want to start off with a lighter amount of the pigment. So what I'm doing with this shade is I am dusting it in my crease, and I'm dusting it all over my lid and up pretty high in my crease. And since this shade is so neutral and so light, you are able to really pack it on all over and be a little sloppy with it. So it's totally okay. So then I am going back in with another shade, and you want to build up these shades. That is what helps blend everything out. The next shade I'm going in with is Sable, and this is also from the same palette. And I'm taking that on the same Morphe M433 blending brush. And what I'm doing with this shade is I am placing it on my lid, on my entire lid, and then up into my crease, but I make sure that I don't take this too high in my crease, because that's when all the shades start to look the same, is when you're just packing them on top of each other. So that's when you want to give it a gradient effect, go lighter, a little bit lower and darker, a little bit lower and darker. And that helps really blend everything out and give you that great transition from dark to light. So I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. I'm placing it all over my lid and into my crease, and I'm just blending all of that out. And these shades are spectacular. So then the next shade I'm going in with is from the same palette, and it's called Sumatra. If I butchered that, I will have it listed in the bottom bar. But I'm taking that on the exact same M433 blending brush. So if you don't have a ton of brushes, that's okay, because I'm using the same brush for this whole process. So what I'm doing with this shade is I'm placing it on my inner corner and my outer corner, and then I'm going to connect it in my crease, trying to leave the center of the lid a little bit blank. And if you have smaller eyes and if you are having trouble, it's okay if you do cover it up, because we are going to put a shade in the middle, so we are going to cover up the blank spot, but I just wanted the center to be a little bit lighter than everything else. So now I'm going in with a Morphe M441 blending brush, and this one is a little bit longer and not as dense, and this is the perfect transition brush. So it really, really helps blend everything out. And if you're having trouble with your shadows blending out, grab a goat hair brush, because it's going to take away some of your product, and that's sometimes what you need when you're working with really dark shades. So again, I'm doing the same thing on the other side, and I'm placing it on my inner and my outer corner, and then we are going to connect it. And this is a different look, and this is, if you have smaller eyes, applying a lighter shade in the center is going to help really open them up and give it more of a doe-eyed, rounded effect. And it's definitely a cool technique to try out. So if you're bored one day, you can sit down and really just work with your shades, work with what you have, and it will all come together. So I went through and I blended all of that out. Now I'm taking, it's by the brand Ardency Inn Modster eyeliner, and this is in the shade Black, and I am tightlining my entire waterline, my upper and lower waterline. And I have this fast forwarded because it's kind of gross to watch, but if you aren't comfortable with tightlining, you can skip the liner, or you could just maybe place it on your lower lash line. Now I'm going in with a Morphe, a Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadow in the shade Untamed. So this shade is so fun. It is so pigmented, it's insane. I feel like with these foiled eyeshadows, your finger works the best. Nothing works as good as your finger. So use what God gave you, and you can use your finger to apply these. If you have a brush that works well, you can, of course, can use a brush, but I found that my fingers work the best. Now I'm going in with a Morphe E17. This is like a little bit of a bigger pencil brush. It's a really, really wonderful brush. Their Elite collection is phenomenal, especially for the price. So what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing all the shades that we used on our top lid. So I'm grabbing Totally Nude, Sable, and Sumatra, and kind of just mixing them all together and really buffing out our lower lash line. And I know some people are really afraid to put shadows under there, but don't be. It will all come together when we're done, and blending is key. So if you just place dark shadows down there and don't smoke it out, it's going to look like your eyes are really small, and you definitely want to work and blend all of that out. Now I'm taking an itty bitty tiny pencil brush, and I'm taking a little bit more of Untamed, and I'm placing that in the center of our lower lash line. So I really wanted our lower lash line and our top lid to match, so that's why I did that. Then I felt like it wasn't dark enough, so I did take Makeup Geek eyeshadow in the shade Corrupt, which is a wonderful black eyeshadow. so you can use any black eyeshadow. There was a black eyeshadow in the palette, but it wasn't as creamy as the Makeup Geek one. So I just placed that on my outer corner. I did not place the black on my inner corner. I wanted a little bit more depth in my outer corner. And then now I'm going back with Sumatra and Sable mixed together on the Morphe M441 blending brush and really blending everything out. And as you can tell from this eye to the eye that I didn't do yet, it really helped smoke and blend everything out. We have no harsh lines anymore, and that's exactly what you want. So sometimes you do have to go back and add some more shades and take a different brush and really blend everything out. I did go ahead and grab the Sigma tapered blending brush, which is this one right here, and blended everything out again. This brush is phenomenal for blending. So if you are in the market for a new blending brush, definitely look up Sigma. I think that brush is about $16, but it is well worth the money. And I've washed it so many times and I don't think I've lost a hair. It's amazing. Now I'm highlighting my brow bone, and with a smoky eye, you always want to make sure you highlight your brow bone because it's really going to help give a lifted effect. And I'm using the MAC eyeshadow in the shade Nylon, and this is my favorite brow bone highlight. I can't get enough of it. I have a big dent in mine. I'm going to need a new one soon, but it's beautiful. And you always want to make sure you blend that line out as well. Then I'm going back in with my finger and I'm just adding a little bit more of that foiled eyeshadow just to make sure it's still bright from all the blending we did. Then I took a Morphe Elite brush and I just set my face a little bit before I applied my bronzer, and that helped to make my bronzer not look choppy. And I did set my face with the Mercier translucent powder, but I did not set my T-zone because I still want this look to be dewy. And then I'm using a e.l.f. blush brush. Whoops, excuse me. This is the e.l.f. powder brush, and I bronzed my face with the Hoola bronzer by Benefit. And then now I'm going in with the BH Cosmetics Wild and Radiant Baked Illuminating Bronzing Palette. And there is 2 bronzing shades and 2 highlighting shades. And I'm using an e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm taking both of the bronzing shades and mixing them together and placing them on the apples of my cheeks and back into my bronzer. I didn't want to use a typical blush because I didn't want to be matte, so that's why I used something that has a little bit of an luminosity to it. Now I'm taking another e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm taking some of the Mercier translucent powder that we used to set our cheeks, and I'm just carving out my blush since it got a little sloppy and cleaning all of that up. Now for lips, I'm using the Kardashian Beauty joystick. Their joysticks are amazing. They're super creamy, super pigmented, and last a really long time. I decided not to line my lips because I didn't want to change the color and I didn't have a perfect match for this joystick. And this is in the shade Shocking Pink, and I'm just applying this. You could go with a nude lipstick, a nude gloss, but I thought that the pink and the yellow really complemented each other. So I'm just filling all of that in, and our look is complete. I did set my face with the MAC Fix Plus, and the MAC Fix Plus is going to combine our foundations and powders and really help give it a little bit of a glow. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video.